Hey everybody, this is Miss Florida Hot Picks here giving you guys an updated Cash for Mississippi workout. This was requested by one of our awesome members, and I wanted to make sure I got this out before we started our weekend. Some of you have already started, so happy weekend to you. As far as Cash for Mississippi, I was actually looking up the 3175 rundown. And lo and behold, I see some really cool patterns, especially stemming from our center regions of the rundowns. So I want to kind of go over that with you. And there are plenty of other patterns and plenty of other ways to use these rundowns. So just because I'm sharing one way, you may start studying and find other simple ways that works better for your state. And that is the goal. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and backtrack. Notice how I have the last few days. Mississippi has two draws. They have a midday, they have an evening, okay? So make sure when you guys are putting your notebooks together or your Excel sheets that you have everything going in order. Why? So you can start catching patterns, okay? I used to just do the rundown, look at it, nothing hit, toss it away. You don't want to do that. That's how you're able to track information. This is important data right here, and it's for your state. So you want to make sure you have a day-to-day of what's going on, okay? Even if you don't understand everything right now, that's okay. Hopefully these tips and these strategies will help you determine what's hot for your state. If you're outside of Mississippi and you're watching, welcome. And hopefully this will give you some ideas on how you may want to look at your rundowns. And you may even find something similar. If you do, please let us know below so we could do further research and maybe even get a video for that state, okay? So we're going to backtrack this. December 24th evening, Mississippi had a hit of 1419, okay? So I noticed right away, you guys, the center columns are really hot, especially when they're connected to what I call key digit numbers. Now that's a loose term. Key digit numbers could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. When I see them, I'm thinking about the numbers 0. It's mirror 5. The number 2, and it's mirror 7. And sometimes when those numbers are put together, they form some really nice patterns. Okay, but first, before we go there, let's talk about how do we even set a rundown up. You see all these numbers, they may be daunting. How do you set a rundown? Very simple. Once you lock in the last hit you're going to use, you're simply going to add each of those numbers down the columns. So for the first column, let me count that out for you. So 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7, 7 plus 3 is 10. Now when you get to your two-digit numbers, only use your ones, place your 0. 0 plus 3 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, use your 2, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11, use your 1. So you want to pay close attention, make sure that you're adding correctly, because the number you start with should be the number you end with, okay? Then you would add 1 all the way down the second column, 7 all the way down the third column, and 5 all the way down the fourth column. So what I want you to do, the first thing is pay attention to these key digit numbers. Okay? Key digits. And those key digits are the number 0, it's mirror 5. The number 2 is mirror 7. Okay, and the reason why you're going to want to pay close attention to those numbers, because those could be really hot numbers, and I see them a lot through the states. Every state may use them differently. All right, the next thing we need to know about those numbers are mirrors. Okay, some of you may have heard of them, some of you may have, and some of you may not like them. That's okay. Either way, we're going to share them. So mirror numbers are the same number but opposite. Do you notice this 2 and 7, they're right together, and they're also part of the key digit family? Well, they're mirrors. They're the same number, they're just opposite, okay? Sometimes you'll see doubles like the 5, 5, or its mirror 0, 0. Sometimes there'll be doubles, but sometimes there'll be a mixture, and those are what we call mirrors. So a 2 could be a 7, 7 could be a 2, 3 could be an 8, 8 could be a 3, 4 can be a 9, and a 9 could be a 4. So those are your mirrors. Make sure you know what those are. Okay? Well, So you have here, you need to learn how to identify, because sometimes they will not be doubles, they may be mirrors. And this is why you don't want to just toss out your rundowns, okay? This key digit 27, pay attention to the second column. The first three numbers could be very important, okay? They could always switch over columns, but pay attention to this second column, the column where the 1 is. Now, wherever you see the 27, notice there's a 109. 109 could be your first three numbers. And the fourth numbers, they may want to use anything touching next to it, like 1093, 1096, 1090, for instance. They're just throwing those out there. What actually hit from this grid the next day, it wasn't the next draw. I know some of y'all, but I want something next draw, Miss Florida. You be okay. Okay, take it for what it is and just chill out. Sometimes the numbers, the states will do what they want. That's why when people ask me, do we do mid to mid, evening to evening? Sometimes it is evening to evening. Sometimes it is mid to mid. But some people want that next draw. Well, it depends on the state. 0931 came when? The evening. So this went from evening to evening. Okay. Now be careful. Okay, in case they want to trip you up. But that hit 0931, it came. So all we did was pay attention to those key digit numbers. The first column, the first three numbers, 109 and the 3. Okay. And the reason I said pay attention to this pattern, because it did something very similar. Okay, very, very similar. Now watch this. 0931 now. This time, remember I told you those key digits again? Zeros and 5s. Sometimes they won't be mirrors, they'll be doubles. Watch this. Okay, so where did we start with the first column? We started at the, at the second column. We're going to put an arrow there. Okay, so this is telling me anything above the key digit could be high. So 432. And then start making your way to the numbers next to it. Now, they could also alter and use other numbers. You have to pay attention to what your state is doing. But for right now, we'll just stick to the numbers. So I could have just stuck it in the same place, but they will move on you. So you have to be careful. 4328, 4321, 4324. Okay, you see that? I'm just keeping up with the pattern. I see that that's what it is. Guess what happened? Okay. Now it skipped. It skipped 1-2 draws. And it didn't go mid to mid, evening, even. Sometimes you're going to have to hold on to these numbers. Okay. 8. Look at that. 8342. 8342 hit December 27th. So again, this is why I don't personally like to tell people mid to mid. It's going to happen next draw. Notice your hot patterns. If you see that they're hot, you may have to hold on to them for a couple of days. Okay. So just pay attention to what your state is doing. I've had so many people, Miss Florida, I played it, man. I played it midday, and that thing came evening, or it didn't come that day at all. It came a couple days later. You have to be mindful. These things can come when they want to, but at least you have an idea what could be hot for a couple of days, right? Okay. Now here was something that was altered. Okay, and they can do this. Now pay attention to date sum numbers. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But notice the 9-4. You see how the 5-5, the 2-7, those two numbers, there wasn't used right with anything the last couple days. I mean, you can go back and check, and you can see that. But this time they use the center column mirrors, which happen to be 9-4. And instead of using the second column, they use the third column for 3 of those numbers. You see how things can start switching? That's why you have to go day to day. Okay. Now these were using key digits. This was using something else, and we'll see that in just a second. They use 9470. Now pay attention. It came out 7049 the evening. Now, what's important about this, those 9s, pay attention to these numbers here. These numbers may mean something, okay? If you're noticing their key digits, they can come kind of wherever they may. But if this matches a date number or date sum, you're going to pay attention to that. What's a date number? Who knows? Most of you know what a date sum is. A date sum is when we add the month, which is 12, the date, in this case 27. We're going to get the number 39. The 9, the number in the ones place, is your date sum number. Okay, that's your date sum number. Why is that important? This 7049 hit the date sum. So if you see your center columns, your doubles or mirrors, and they're matching a day number or date sum, you better pay attention. That could be coming up for that day. Little trick I'm learning. Trust me when I tell you, I'm trying to learn everything, okay? And that could alter your patterns. So you have to continue to keep track. I would play on paper and kind of see what's going on, okay? Because these things could be tricky, okay? They could be very tricky. And here, even with this, it was a 9-9 here, but they used the mirrors. Okay, they had a 8-3-4-2. I don't see anything connected like that. And there was a 7-0-4-9. And I see the 4-0-7, but they didn't, you can't connect to the 9. That would have been close. Okay, so you just have to be careful with these. My thing is I like to go for the key digits, and I like to look for anything 2-7, like even here, the 2-7 here, the same thing, 9103 came right here as well. Sometimes they'll show themselves up right before they play. So you have to be careful. Now, do I see anything else? Yes, there's one coming up right here. So will they still continue to use the patterns from here? If they do, let's see if we can write out a few and just play on paper. Let's see what happens, okay? So if they're still using this, maybe they'll use the 6-5-4, be the first numbers, 6-5-4-5, 6-5-4-8, 6-5-4-1. Those could be something. But I don't want you to just stay in that area. I want you to look at your mirrors as well. You see, after a certain part of the rundown, all the mirrors are mirrored. It started out with 8-3-4-2, but it turns into a 3-8-9-7, and it keeps going. Notice how this 7-2, it turns into a 2-7. So I'm going to look here. I'm going to go also 1-0-9-0. I'm going to go 1-0-9-3, which I know they just played that, so you may not want to play that. 1-0-9-6. Okay, so those could be some other possibilities. The reason why I'm telling you about the mirror numbers is because they could trick. That's what they do. If you don't, if you notice they're using a particular part of the rundown, that's up to you. More study will tell. But me, I like to use things that keep coming back, okay? And it's not to say that it's going to come the next draw. Those are just some hot numbers you may want to look for, keep a hold of. Hopefully they'll come up. And then they may start switching which columns. So you have to be careful, okay? So with that said, I hope this is helpful for you guys in Mississippi. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, this lesson, all right? This workout, okay? Anyways, guys, you have an amazing weekend. Thank you guys for your much support, and we'll see you guys on the next video.